Hi and welcome to this yoga stretch video. This is going to be a short video and it's perfect to tag on to the end of your workouts or just to fit in the morning to wake up well, open the body and feel good. It's going to be mainly focusing on our hamstrings and our hips as that's where we tend to hold tension in our bodies. So let's get started. So we're going to start in just a nice easy butterfly. So bringing your feet together and just gently bouncing your knees and bringing movement to this posture just allows our bodies to warm up, allows the tendons to start moving and really helps us just ease into moving. And if you want, you can bring your chest gently down towards your feet. And yeah, just really let this movement be free. And we're just coming to stillness now, and I just want you to just gently, keeping the back straight, just bringing the chest towards the feet. Nice, and again, we can bring a tiny bit of movement here. A really gentle pulse. And you don't want to feel any straining or any pain. Just a really gentle pulse. And now we're going to hold it at the bottom of the movement. And just bringing our nose towards our feet, rounding the back. Nice, and gently coming up. And I'm going to turn now so you can see my posture. We're going to move into a hamstring stretch, into an L-sit. So first just working our way down the legs, and I like to use compression on the legs just to kind of bring us into connection with our body. And we're going to move up and down gently. And actually bringing our hands to touch our legs just starts to build that mind-body connection. I'm going to go down one more time, and this time we're going to hold at the bottom. And you can place your hands on your feet, on your ankles, on your shins, wherever you come down to. And I just want you to relax your head and allow the weight of your body to pull you down closer, pull your chest closer to your thighs. And just hold here for a few moments. So this is a really interesting stretch because it's not often that the vertebrae in our spine get stretched apart in this way. But it's actually only through stretching that allows oxygen to flow in between the vertebrae and brings nourishment to the vertebrae. So you might feel a tingling sensation in your spine, especially if you're doing this in the morning. Just enjoy it. It's like giving the vertebrae breakfast. You're allowing the blood flow to open up there. Nice. And now stretching up. We're going to counter that. So bringing our arms behind us, fingers pointing in. I want you to look out over the back and I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades together. Imagine that you're trying to pull your shoulder blades together. And you're now, instead of stretching the vertebrae, you're compressing them. So any waste product that's accumulated in there, which it does, you're allowing it to squeeze and press out. Nice. And coming back to seated. So now we're just going to alternate, bringing our knees in and just warming up our hips, bringing again some movement to the flow. So it's really good to balance out static holds with these nice fluid movements to really warm the body. And we're going to hold this knee in, our left knee, and then placing both hands around the foot. I want you to breathe in, and on the out breath, extend out in front of you. And I want you to try and keep your back as straight as you can here as you're extending out. And breathing in, and breathing out. Extend, and breathing in, and breathing out. Extend. Beautiful. And letting go of that gently down to the mat. And we'll go on to the right leg, so squeezing that in, feeling that compression in your hip. And then placing both hands around the foot, taking a nice big breath in. And on the out breath, extending. And it doesn't matter if that knee's slightly bent, it doesn't have to be a full extension, just as far as you can take it. And again, we're trying to keep that back flat, spine upright, and breathing in. And breathing out. And breathing in. And breathing out. Nice, and just letting that go. And just bouncing those legs, shaking them off. Maybe moving them out to the outside of your mat and back in again. Nice. And then we're gonna come to a lying position on our mat. So here I want you to pull in your left knee again. This time we're gonna be on our back. And I just want you to do a little bit of a rotation with that knee. So getting into that hip joint, really enjoying that movement and changing direction, of lubricating up that joint, moving through any stickiness that might be there. If we spend a lot of time sitting at our desks, this is where we tend to get quite tight. Nice, and coming to stillness. And again, we're going to extend that hamstring. So taking your hands behind your calf, we're going to extend that leg up into a nice hamstring stretch. If you have a strap or even a dressing gown belt or something that you want to put around your foot, that can sometimes make it easier. You can put that around your foot, make it easier to get a grip if your hamstrings are quite tight. So we're just going to hold this here for a few counts. And I just want you to connect back in with your breath here. Take some nice deep breaths. People can often push themselves to the point where they're holding their breath and they're stretching so deeply that actually it feels quite painful. When this happens, the muscle tightens up and it's actually not beneficial at all. Instead of stretching and loosening and relaxing, you're creating more tension. So just really bring your breath to your hamstrings. We're holding it for quite a long time. And just allow your breath to soften and allow yourself to relax into the position. And what I want you to do now is to take your hand to the outside of your foot if you can. You can put a slight bend in your knee if you need to. And we're going to move into a rotation. So bringing your left arm down for stability. I want you to just bring your right leg over as far as you can. And that can be here, that can be here, that can be right down to the mat. It's completely for you to decide what feels good with your body today. And try and keep that left shoulder tightly stuck to the mat. And you can actually move your head over to look at that left hand to really deepen that stretch, that twist. And coming back up to center, we're going to change hands. And this time your left hand comes to the inside of your leg. Your right arm comes out for stability. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So just opening up into that hip. This feels really good for me as my hamstrings are very tight at the moment. You'll feel this in your hips, your hamstrings, your inner thighs. And the strength building here as well as you're holding your leg off the ground. Nice. And coming back to center. And then hugging that knee in and releasing it to the mat. Beautiful. So we're going to go onto the right leg now. So squeezing in that right knee, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. So just starting with those rotations, easing into the hip, opening up the hip, and changing direction. And notice if you feel the difference between the two sides. Is one side more open than the other? It's not uncommon to have imbalances, but this is why we do yoga, to try and bring ourselves more centered, more into equilibrium. Nice, and coming to stillness now. One last squeeze, and then again taking our hands to our calves, our ankle, our foot, or grabbing our strap if we need it, and coming into that hamstring extension. And again, we're going to hold this for a while, and I just want you to focus. The only thing is just breathing deeply and sending your breath to your hamstring. Relaxing into the pose. Shaking is normal. If you feel a tiny bit of shaking, it's just the muscle working. If it feels like too much, you can just gently ease off. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, take a nice deep breath in, and on your out breath, you can just pull your hamstring a tiny bit closer. Nice. And now taking our left hand to the outside of our foot, our right arm coming down for balance. We're going to come into that twist again. So slowly bringing that right leg down to the mat. And our head turns to face our right arm. Just enjoying that sensation in our hip, in our hamstrings, in our calves. And if at any point you feel like you want to hold these stretches for longer, feel free to pause the video and spend as long here as you want. Or you might be thinking that you want to hold it for shorter. Sometimes it can feel a bit painful, but the more that you do these stretches, the easier it will feel in your body. And coming back to center and changing over that hand. So our right hand comes to the inside of our foot and we're going to stretch out. So I'm a bit tighter on this side, I can feel. So just notice how this side feels compared to the other side. And coming back to center, lovely. And hugging that knee into our chest and straightening out. So now we're going to go into a figure four stretch again on our backs. So if you bring your right knee in, we're going to place the left leg on top into this figure four position. So you've got this nice right angle going on and our right leg's going to lift up. Again, we want to try and keep that 90 degrees. So what can happen is people can lift their legs quite high or have it drop down low. We want to try and keep it parallel with the ground. With my left elbow, I'm going to use it to just press my knee out a little bit further. And I'm going to pull my right leg into my chest whilst pushing out my left knee with my left ankle. And I should really feel this, you should really feel this stretch. I'm feeling this stretch in my glutes and my hip. And if you want to go a little bit deeper with this, what you can do is actually grab hold of that top leg and bring that in closer, that left leg, one hand on the knee and one on the ankle. I'm going to stay with my hands around my right leg. And again, just breathe in this position. Enjoy the stretch. This can feel like a really nice one actually. Stretching into the glutes can release a lot of tension that we didn't even know we were carrying. And just pulling it in a little bit deeper, we're going to take one breath in together. And on the out breath, as we relax, just squeezing it in a little bit tighter towards the chest and releasing. So we are not going to release back to the ground yet. We are going to go into a rotation. So you're going to rotate to your right side. Your left foot is going to come to the ground. And with your left hand, you're going to push out your knee. And you should feel this in your left hip. This is actually a really great stretch for the inner hip. And it's a place that it's quite hard to get to with a lot of stretches. So I just want you to really become aware of the sensation. Actually, where do you feel this? This is a really good position for connecting in with your body because it really requires you to adjust in order to feel the stretch in the place where you're trying to feel it, which is your hip. So it might require you to scoot your left foot up the mat a little bit higher, to push on your knee so it's pushing out a little bit further. Just play around with this. Maybe move your hips, see if you need more of a rotation. But yeah, scoot around on your mat and see what happens when you change your position and whether you can deepen or relax the stretch according to what you need. Nice. And we'll come back to the middle now. And maybe shake those feet off and then come back to the mat. Nice, and we're going to go over to the other side now. So right foot onto the left knee and bringing that left leg up to 90 degrees. And with our right elbow, we're pushing out our right leg. And just holding that stretch, feeling that stretch in our right glutes, our right hip. If you want to deepen this stretch, again on the same side, you can take hold of your knee and your foot and just pull that in closer to your chest. And I'm just going to stay with my hands on my left leg. And just coming back to the breath whilst we hold this position. Having that as our focal point. Part of the beauty of stretching is we move slowly and we connect back into our body. And by bringing awareness to our body throughout the day, it can really help us to connect with what we really need in those moments when we're choosing what we're going to eat, or choosing whether we go out for a walk or we stay seated. Connecting with our body helps us to connect with our needs and what we really need in that moment to feel good. So we're going to come into the rotation on this side. So bringing our right foot down to the ground, and our right hand just helps pushing out that right knee. And I'm going to adjust a little bit on this side, bring everything a bit higher up, and that's just helping me get deeper into that inner hip. Nice, and just releasing that, and again coming back to center, shaking off. And we're going to come into the final part of our stretch now, which is back. It's stretching into our back. So we've got 3 variations. The first one is in yoga called the fish pose. So what you're going to do is raise yourself up onto your elbows and look back over your shoulders. And you're going to gently drop your head to the mat. Now I've got a ponytail on top of my head, so it's making this a little bit challenging. So if you need to adjust your head, and do that. But yeah, I want you to make sure that you're not crushing in your neck. You're really lifting up from your chest. Imagine you've got a string attached to your sternum and it's pulling you up high towards the sky. And gently coming back down, lifting up onto our elbows and back to the mat. Now you can stick with that variation, or if you want to progress to the next one, we're going to come into our bridge pose. So bringing our feet in, our knees up, and we're going to lift through our glutes. And I want you to really squeeze your glutes at the top of this pose. Your hips, your feet want to be hip width apart. Your knees driving forward like train tracks, not falling in or going out. And whilst you're squeezing in your glutes, you're simultaneously tightening your abs and sucking your tummy towards your spine. And your chin is on your chest. And gently rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae, the top to the bottom. That's great. So that was the second variation, and if you want to move into the third variation, we're going to come back into the bridge pose, and we're going to progress into wheel pose, which is a full extension. So we'll start by coming up into that bridge, rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae. Holding that nice form at the top. And then if you want to come into that full wheel extension, we're going to bring our hands behind our head, flat on the ground. And we're going to push up into a full wheel back bend. So you can come up onto your tiptoes here to add a little bit more spaciousness. Remember, keep breathing. It's easy to hold your breath. Just feel all that expansion in your body that you've just opened up. And we're just going to hold it for a couple more breaths. And then gently coming back down towards the ground. Lowering back into a flat position. Amazing. Well done, guys. That last progression can be quite challenging, but if you didn't get there this time, then just gently work your way there, and with a little bit of practice, then you'll get there. So we're going to come and finish in seated position. We'll finish with a twist, just to twists are really great for detoxification and It's almost like wringing out a sponge. It's like, that's like what you're doing with your internal organs. So we'll bring our right hand to our left leg and our left hand behind us. And we'll look out over our left shoulder. And I want you to really focus on twisting from your core. This isn't a leverage. You're not yanking yourself round. You're allowing the twist to come from your center, from your core. And really lift up through the spine with every in-breath. Sitting up straight. And with the out-breath, just going a little bit deeper into that twist. Breathing in. And breathing out a little bit deeper. And even a quarter of an inch in this position, going around a quarter of an inch is a lot. So just be gentle, go as far as feels good to you and trust your body. And one more breath in and out. And then bringing our head back to center and our body back around with it. Just roll our shoulders out. We'll do the same thing on the other side to finish up. So taking the left hand to the right leg, right arm around, breathing in and out into the twist. And again, the same thing here. So with your in-breaths, I want you to feel yourself lifting up from the top of your head. And with the out-breaths, just deepening into that rotation. Feeling the twist coming from your core, from your center. Looking out over that right shoulder. And we're going to breathe in. And with the out-breath, just going a tiny bit deeper into the twist if that feels good for you. And one more breath in. And breathing out, deepening that twist. And bringing our head back around, our body back around. Well done, guys. That was a great stretch, and well done for taking the time out to stretch. I know it can sometimes feel like we're not getting as much out of our stretches as we are when we're up and down, jumping, doing burpees, but actually our recovery is the most important part of growth. When we allow ourselves time to stretch and rest and recover, that's actually when our muscles can do the work of repair, re-strengthening, and it actually allows us to perform better in our workouts. We have a greater range of motion, and in our lives we're more relaxed. So yeah, feel free to let us know what you thought about this stretch workout, and yeah, see you next time.